podcast. We're excited to bring you episode 78. Before you know it, we'll be at 100. 22 more episodes to go. We're joined by another special guest, Andy, by NFL Outdated. Sir, how are you doing? You're speaking on mute.
You got yourself on mute.
Damn, I was trying to plan that out. I just had to put on the lights. The show is ready to go. Just like my Bears are ready to show out in 2024. It's coming, 2023. Got to say that. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, glad.
I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's
going
to
be how to respond to the Bears stuff. I'm used to getting all the Packers hate here, so I love it. Got to throw it out there. So I've been in too many NFC North stuff to. I'm used to all this Packer hate. So
listen, the kneecap season is coming. Wait for the Lions. One war is being restored, buddy. Don't you worry.
I was waiting for that too, Marisa. I was waiting for that.
But hey, glad to have you guys back on. Marisa, glad to have you back. You went on your birthday trip. How was your lovely trip?
Listen, New York is a whole entire vibe. If you've never been, you got to go. Went to Harlem, went to the Apollo Theater. It was a great experience. Shout out to DJ D Nice celebrating his 3rd anniversary of Club Quarantine Live. It was an absolute vibe. The Harlem Renaissance. Everybody had a good time. Danced. I danced way too long, all the way till 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My knees and my ankles did not appreciate me, but you know what? I would do it all over again in a heartbeat for that kind of vibe. So it was a great trip.
Awesome. Again, sending you a lot of birthday love. Again, for the big celebration. Glad that you had a good time. Mr. Ben Holloway, how are you doing, young man? How are you doing, Cowboys fan?
Doing fantastic. What about you, Jeffrey?
I'm great. Thank you. Gary, on the West Coast, in the City of Angels, how are you doing?
West Coast.
I'm tired. And a little jet lag. And slightly jet lagged. No, I'm good. Excited to talk about sports yet again. I have gone ahead and shredded all my brackets. So, be free to talk, very freely, and it'll be fun.
R.I.P.
Awesome. And it's going to be some basketball. I know that, Andy, you said that you were a basketball fan. I'm sorry, or you're a Wisconsin guy. Wisconsin just lost to North Texas, 56-54, and North Texas is going to the NIT championship. I'm sorry, but not sorry.
NIT.
AO me green.
I've always said this. It's a very lame joke, but not in tournament.
Not interesting tournament. You got to say it right, Ben. Not interesting tournment.
Either way is good. I like yours.
And we like to talk a little banter, so I hope you.
I love it. I was just gonna say, I actually have a perfect NIT bracket. So,
all right, beautiful.
And I'm in Wisconsin, but I am a Hawkeye, so I am a Bears fan in enemy territory, 2 different ways. So there you go.
Oh yeah, listen,
Alrighty.
I saw the Hawkeyes play here in Seattle over the weekend. Saw homegirl score that triple-double. That girl is a walking bucket, let me tell you.
Caitlin Clark is her.
Yeah, man, gotta give her some respect.
She's must-see
So
TV.
tonight, indeed, definitely.
Period.
So tonight we're going to discuss the NCAA tournament. There's a lot to discuss. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about it, like a lot. Some Lamar Jackson and the collusion going on there. I said what I said. NBA MVP race to Dallas Mavericks failed experiment. It has been an absolute failure. And where should Odell Beckham the Diva go and Zeke Elliott go? So listen, I was telling you guys in the text message before this game, and I just want to throw this stat out here about this Kansas State and San Diego State game because I feel a type of way. Okay, here's what we're going to do. UConn versus Zags, 30 fouls called. Miami versus Texas, 37 fouls called. FAU versus Kansas State, 39 fouls called. And then San Diego State versus Creighton, 22 fouls called. Now, I want to point that out because, yes, was that indeed a foul at the last minute of the game, Marisa? Yes, it was. But when you don't call fouls all game, that was a very physical game. How in the hell do you call a foul like that with literally like 1.7 seconds? And I wanted to put out the disparaging because of the fouls, 39, 37, 30, and then 22 fouls in that game, because I think context is very important. Marisa,
you let them play the entire game. and swallowed your whistles the entire game. And less than 10 seconds into this game, I have put that foul that they called on Creighton, and I've watched it at least a dozen times, and I'm still trying to see the ghost of a foul that was called on this player with 1.2 seconds left, and that sends Kansas State to the line. It blows my mind how majority of the game you let them play. And the disparities of this just is, are we going to allow these young men and these young ladies in these games? Are we going to let them play? Or are we going to follow the rule book? And the majority of these games, as you stated, Jeff, of how many fouls were called in particular games, and this one, which I saw, there was tons of opportunity for them to call fouls on both sides of the ball that were not done until the last 10 seconds. I felt gutted for Creighton. I really did, and Coach McDermott and his squad. What could you do? I mean, those kids were absolutely devastated. I'm yelling at the TV like it's on my own team that's playing. That's how much investment that I had into there, and I almost sacrificed a remote or two, or all of them that were in the house, because I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Now that a foul is called at this time, and then just the whole sequence between that 10 seconds, which felt like another 2 minutes, and then the last 1.2 seconds, and then they had to re-show the replay of who touched the ball last and everything else, and then game over. So I felt really bad for the Creighton Blue Jays. I really did.
Yeah, and Ben, it's a perfect segue because Jay Williams, a Duke guy, I know you love him, UNC Tar Heel fan. I know that, like, I just had to put that out there. I mean, he made some points, and I didn't realize that, but I'm like, Ben, like, how do you let a game like that? You play a whole game, physical game like that, and you wait to with literally like less than 2 seconds, Ben.
So I feel the same way about that foul call as I do about the Super Bowl and Mr. James Bradbury. And in both cases, by the letter of the law, the actual rule in both sports, football and college basketball, they were both a penalty. Well, penalty, football, foul, basketball. But still, they were both technically correct. But the issue is exactly the same. The Super Bowl, basically no penalties the whole game. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of holdings and false starts, no pass interference, no illegal contact, none of that until the very end. Now, go to the basketball game that you're talking about, and I have to correct you guys. San Diego State versus
San Diego State. That's what
San
it was.
Diego
Thank
State.
you.
I bit my tongue, I waited, so I didn't interrupt anybody, okay? Anyways, that game, San Diego State, Creighton, the same thing. Not too many fouls called. You just pointed out the numbers, and it's like you don't even need numbers. It's the eye test. They let them play, and then the little ticky-tack, grab the jersey, 1.7 seconds left. Yeah, blow the whistle. Sounds good. And by the way, to me, the bigger, maybe not bigger, but why didn't they get the ball with 0.3 seconds left on the baseline? Okay, forget the foul, but a million replays showed there was at least 0.2 seconds. I think 0.3, but even if you want to say 0.2, they should have been able to inbound the ball. The time was not out. The time was not out, and they called it out.
Yeah, but Andy, any thoughts? And we could transition to any other games. Any other kind of high level thoughts for you, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and throw out a take. Obviously, nobody likes, right? All right. I am pro ref. All right, I'm pro all of that. All right. And here's why. If you start to, I think the problem is now with replay, with all of these things, and wanting to get it right versus wanting to get it fast, right? And I think there's such a pressure on the referees, in any sport to make the game go faster, especially in baseball. We're seeing now all the pitch clock, all these things. It's going to be odd when that starts to see that going, right? And I feel like there's so many different messages. don't hold the game up, don't, it's got to go quick. And so I think sometimes that's why you see, throughout the games, things like go because it's kind of, you want that human element in the whole game, and you don't want robots, in all that, the human element. And a lot of times, they kind of establish like in the start of the game how the flow is going to go, like, and so that I don't know, it's difficult. It's a difficult job to be a ref, be an umpire, be in those shoes, and to call something a split second and see it in real time. Obviously now they have the monitors and stuff, but if it is by letter of the law, if it is a foul and they do look at it like that, they have to call it. And I know moment versus the rest of the game, but what's the message? So
yeah. No, like I totally get where you are coming from. I just think that if you're gonna call something, then be consistent with it. Like that's just my only thing.
That's I agree with you mostly, Andy. It's the consistency.
Yeah, that's it. Like you can't go from, like I said, I wanted to put those foul totals, Gary, specifically because I wanted to be able to shed light on that's the type of game, right? Refs, they tell you, hey, you keep on checking him, I'm going to call that.
Mm-hmm.
They communicate to them. They tell them that.
Yeah.
Gary, talk.
No, like just kind of everybody's kind of said what need to be said here. Like if the referee's job is to enforce the rules to the letter of the law, as much as it sucks, what we saw was it was a foul. It was a foul called. I feel for Creighton like everybody else, but like Ben said, the Super Bowl. James Bradberry said it himself. I held him. I was hoping that they swallowed their whistle in that moment, but they didn't. Mm-hmm. Folks, that's what it is, unfortunately. And I was getting ready. My original gripe this week was going to be about referees. Like this seems to be the year of the referee, where, in these moments that they're kind of becoming a bigger part of the story than I'm sure they thought that they would be. But I feel like this comes in waves where we have like these controversial moments with referees and how they impact the game and everything. But
go ahead. Sorry, Gary. I was gonna say I did hear a story, and this was from an old time Major League Baseball umpire, and it was just kind of a story that there was an umpire that went in, I believe it was the White Sox locker room, and basically he went in there and he brought a friend into the locker room, and he said he was looking at all the players stuff like bats and helmets, those type of things, and this is back in the day. And he told his friend that he could just take anything, and then a player approached him and just tell him no, and then basically the umpire said words of, well, that he was in charge because he could have just called balls and strikes. So I feel like it's a lot less than better than it used to be, and we just don't see that because there wasn't the social media, there wasn't all the eyes on it there is now. So I think they've made steps to get better. Is it perfect? No, but and yeah, you feel for Creighton in some of these teams, but obviously, the coach speak is you don't want it to have to get down to that. Do your business, and so it doesn't have to get down to that.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm sorry, Jeff, real quick. It kind of to that point. When when they lost in the national championship many years ago, and it was on a controversial call, Jimmy Johnson said, he's like, listen, we didn't lose at that game. He said to his players that if we leave it in the refs' hands, we're screwed. Mm-hmm. We have to play and win with and leave little doubt.
Right.
Unfortunately, when you don't do that, these things happen. These moments occur, and then your team is going home while the other teammate is going to make history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Ben, I know you want to talk after you. I mean, that's also the caveat, is that you wanna make sure that you don't leave it to the refs' hands. And especially, or even imagine if you were in the NFL and they had the replacement refs. You definitely don't want to leave them there.
No.
We can talk
No,
about
no,
that.
no. I was gonna say we're not diving in that rabbit hole, but it's a lot bigger than a rabbit hole.
But
We're
go
not
ahead,
going
Ben,
there.
Fairleigh
Dickinson University. First off,
New Jersey.
second, yes, we will say that. Yes. First of all, second 16 seed to beat a 1 seed.
Told
So
y'all.
That's an
Told y'all about
accomplishment.
that. Told y'all about Purdue. Continue.
Yeah, but you know you didn't pick them to win that game.
Yeah, but I told you
You
Purdue
didn't
was.
pick
Hey, listen.
Yeah,
But you know I picked Purdue have an early exit.
I know.
Let's
we all
let's
did.
keep
We
it
all did.
100. It's not that squad.
We good. Okay, back to Fairleigh Dickinson because Purdue, they're on the other side. I'm trying to talk about Fairleigh Dickinson here. No, it's all love. It's all good banter. So there, this is. I did not research and figure out exactly what the metrics were and how they are, but there's a very fine gentleman named Ken Pomeroy who has some advanced efficiency metrics. Again, I didn't do the research on how he comes up with it, but he's been doing it for a long time. There are 363 teams in Division I, basketball at least. Fairleigh Dickinson University was 312
I saw that.
out of 363. That's overall.
Wow.
The second thing, they were the shortest team in the
Smallest
entire
team.
tournament, and you had a 7'3" dude on Purdue. And then the third thing was out of 363, they were 359th in defense.
Wow.
They were the fourth worst defensive team.
Well, Ben, that means
And they
won.
what? Yeah, exactly. That means they were good.
They were good.
The fourth worst defensive team out of 363 teams, and they beat a number 1 seed as flawed as Purdue was, which we all agreed Purdue was flawed. The bottom line is, if 16 beating a 1 was a thing, it would have happened more than 2 times. So Purdue was flawed, but still, and by the way, real quick, Jeff, and I'm done. I promise you on this one. They also, in the second round, they went up against Florida Atlantic, and it was 54-54, 9 minutes left, and then 2.5 minutes left. They were only down by 3. So they almost won 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So Fairleigh Dickinson, we want to shout out to them because that's incredible. That's just
and Ben, and before I toss it to you, Marissa, that when you really put that in context, I'm glad you said that because I was reading an article about that. That has to go down. Like, Marissa, would you say this has to go down as, I think, this has to go down as one of the biggest, I think, top 10 upsets
in every
all
sport.
time.
Every sport. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
It's up there because Purdue, I mean, they still had a pretty damn good season, and they still were a pretty damn good team. I mean, you still got to give them respect to still be a 1 seed and win the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Still got to give them respect for that. But what do you think?
The Big Ten this year, to me, was an open season. Any one of these teams could have won it. Purdue, yes, they had 7'3" Zach Edey, but Purdue only has 7'3" Zach Edey. Again, as I said 2 weeks ago on this show, it's the point guards. Whether you're going to have the point guards do what they do, or they're going to show up. You don't know which Purdue team, if you're all going to get a full set of the starting 5, or it's going to be Zach Edey trying to get this team out of trouble. And that's exactly what happened. Fairleigh Dickinson University was the smallest team that showed up in this tournament. And whatever Tobin Anderson, and shout out to him, now he has a new head coaching gear and a fat, big bag of money that's thrown at him to go to Iona. Shout out to him, well-deserved. Whatever plan he came up with, and he said it 48 hours before they took the floor, they said, let's go shock the world and take down Purdue. And that's exactly what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Those gentlemen took down Zach Edey. There was so many times that the ball was swatted out of his hands for Zach Edey, the easy layups that he should have made, that he always makes. He didn't get a chance to do it. Why? Because the defensive pressure of FDU was on him heavy. And then it was only like 3 to 5 minute spans where you saw their shooting guards actually help and show up, and then literally went ghost in the second half. And it was Zach Edey that had to go and carry this team on his back. So
By the
I
way,
had to.
sorry,
Mhm.
Marissa, but
No,
out of
go ahead.
curiosity, I just wanted to look up Zach Edey because I feel like he's the only one that played well. In that game, he had 21 points and 15 rebounds. So he did his job for the most part.
And there
Basically,
you go.
nobody else did.
I mean, and there
Yeah.
you go. I mean, there was another team that also met same fate, and I mean, they did a couple of years ago. They came back and won the national championship, and that was Virginia.
Yeah.
Met Furman, and then Furman. I had to Google Furman. I've never heard of Furman, and they made their presence known in that game. And it was unfortunately Clark throwing that Hail Mary pass, and unfortunately went into Furman's hands, and then the I want to say the forward shot it into the basket, and boom, it was literally over. And Virginia met the same fate. And I felt bad for Clark because it was 2 out of 3 years. It was a low point for him with University of Maryland, Baltimore County, a high point where they won the national championship, and then ending his career at Virginia, being eliminated out of the first round by Furman University. So again, it is these teams where you think they don't have a chance, gentlemen, that we literally have saw the household names of the NCAA tournament be eliminated before the Sweet 16. It was unheard of. In 1979 is when the seeding actually took place. And for the first time since 1979, you did not see one number 1 seed team go to the Elite 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. And so what we're going to do is and Ben and Gary, we're going to do a quick pivot out of respect for our guest's time, because I know that he's running a little bit of time, but we're going to come back to NCAA basketball, and then we're just going to get right to football here, and then we'll come back. So Gary Legend Johnson and Ben, the Cowboys fan, Holloway, just hold the NCAA talk. We'll get right back to it.
Appreciate that.
Okay?
The legend.
And, yeah, no doubt. We gotta be flexible. We gotta be a little flexible. You know what I'm saying? Let me stop. So, man, Andy, I know you've been really eager to get on some football here, but we just gotta talk about a little bit of these Jets here. And, you know, should they be pursuing Lamar Jackson, or should they be holding firm and staying with Aaron the Diva Rodgers?
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of made their bed, right? They're all in on Rodgers. I think it's comical. So many angles that, you know, obviously being a Bears fan, that, you know, the Packers aren't able to do a lot of the things that they should be doing. I mean, you know, Packer fans are thinking that, you know, they're still going to continue to do well. They're going to be in the cellar this year. And I think they've showed their hand that that's what they want to do. And quite frankly, that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
You know, but then on the other end of things, the Jets, I mean, you know, that's a franchise that is just, I mean, the owner, the leadership has been poor for so many years. And they finally have a defense that can, you know, it's a championship level defense. So they're putting their chips all in. They've got some great young players. You know, if they're smart, they won't go after Randall Cobb and these other old players that Rodgers wants. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Lazard, you know, but they're all in. And I just, you know, I think Rodgers has lost a step. Obviously his thumb's hurt, but I think he's going to have that fire and desire to kind of prove everybody wrong, go scorched earth. You know, so
he ain't ready for that New York media.
You know,
he ain't ready.
I think
he's a sensitive man.
I think he's smart though. He's smart because he controls the narrative, and he's got, you know, he is very sensitive, but he's got, you know, what is it? I can't even think of his name now. The podcast he's on, he's got him in his back pocket.
Pat McAfee.
He's and he doesn't get any hard questions, and he kind of shelters him from it. And he can only be all in for 1 year. I think it'll maybe be 1 year or 2 years. So yes, I think they have to sell tickets to say, okay, we've done this. And it's just, you know, who's going to flinch first as far as like compensation. And I think it might have to be that it might have to be the Packers because everything is riding on this for them, I think.
Yeah, Gary, what do you think? I know you just absolutely love your boy Aaron Rodgers. What's your take?
No, I'm just as I was saying. I don't know if you're watching last week, but I said it. Like Aaron Rodgers did not want to be Brett Favre so much that he is slowly evolving into Brett Favre anyway. In this move to the Jets and everything. I understand why the Jets are locked in with Aaron Rodgers. You know, there's the whole narrative about Lamar Jackson and his injury history, which I will not get on my stump for that today, but that is certainly something that I'm going to rant about in the future. But yeah, we know I understand their mindset behind it, and I get that they want to. They're trying to go all in. It's been 54 years of mediocrity, so like I get it. You know, like New York City is starved for a champion. We haven't had one in a decade. Like we are long starved for one. So like I get the Jets trying to make as big a splash as they can. But to your point, Andy, we don't need Randall Cobb. We don't need Mercedes Lewis. No, that's unnecessary. You're going to have to rein Aaron Rodgers in at some point. Ben, I know you mentioned the New York media, but he is perhaps one of the great puppet masters of our time. The way that he controls his narrative, listen, he speaks to Pat McAfee. That's it. And Pat's not going to turn on Aaron Rodgers. There's that brotherhood from the NFL. That's not going to, so you have perhaps the great ally of somebody who is so well renowned in commentary and in sports commentary, and as McAfee is at this point. Like, I don't feel the media and him are going to have a field day with one another. They're going to have so much fun with one another.
And McAfee's not stupid either, because he how many clicks and views he got from Aaron Rodgers coming on. He's not going to do anything like that. I mean,
I believe that was his highest rated show like ever. I think to this point. So like, yeah, he understands how to work the media because he's already doing so now with his buddies. At this point, it's about production. We're not talking about an Aaron Rodgers that is like in his mid-30s or early 30s. Homeboy's about to be 40. Like, and not everybody is Tampa Tom, who can sit here and sling it to 45 years old. And Tom probably still could if somebody didn't talk him out of it. I think he still would be playing. But not everybody's him. Not everybody is Drew Brees. Not everybody's like that. Like, right. As much as we love Aaron Rodgers, everybody wants to be in love with Aaron Rodgers. I mentioned it once, and I mentioned it 1,000 times. What has he done?
And Gary, that's the perfect.
Since 2010.
And Marissa, that's the perfect pivot to this, because my thing is that you look at this roster, and they said a stat that if they had scored 21 more points, they could have been 11-7, or they could have had 4 more plus wins. I forgot the stat like it, but
Jeff, it was like team, if they had scored 17 points in like 6 games, they would have won all 6 games.
Something like that.
Something like that. 17 points in those 6 games, they would have won all 6.
But there it is.
Marissa, my thing is that like you look at this roster, even with him, I do not see a Super Bowl caliber roster.
That's like all of us buying milk, and on the date that you're supposed to discard it says April 3rd, but we've kept it until May 5th and think it's still good.
Thank you.
I mean, that's basically all I'm going to say. It's just, I'm not trying to say Aaron Rodgers is past his prime, but I'm going along with Gary, but what have we seen since that Super Bowl run? What was it, 2011, 2010? What was it? Did they last time?
2010.
2010.
Yeah. Hey,
real quick. Now, I just like to that point. I said to Jets fans, my brother-in-law is perhaps one of the biggest Jets fans that I know. I said to him, "Congratulations on 12-5 and a divisional loss. Like, that's what you're getting."
Hello.
Sorry, that's it.
Facts.
Especially not against Patrick Mahomes. He's not beating him.
Facts. He's not beating him.
No.
Nope, you're right.
Yeah, but Ben, that's why I think they should go after Lamar. But I'm just saying. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, they should be pursuing Lamar. That's all I need to say.
I mean,
no,
you know,
no.
That roster's not built for.
Say it.
you know,
Say it.
Pass
Ru-
the ball.
Say
He
it.
Not built for,
He won an MVP passing it, like completing like 69% of his passes.
I love
he can
Lamar.
Throw the ball. He
I
can
love
throw.
Lamar. I love
Comma.
Lamar. I love
Say it.
Fields.
Say it.
That roster's not built for running quarterback. Is that?
I mean, I can see that.
It's just not.
It's not. He's right.
Yeah, but Baltimore had him run 15 or 20 times a game because they had to.
But you know where Lamar should take his talents to? Take his talents to Bill Belichick. Yes, I said it. I said what I said.
Belichick
ruin him. Bill would ruin
I
him.
said what I said.
I'm saying
Are
that.
they should put all their eggs right now in the Mac Jones basket.
I'm
They're
saying
No,
Marissa, you're not wrong. But Belichick is not taking that risk.
Nope.
He's not.
Lamar Jackson
The biggest
is going
risk he
to
took
the
was
Colts.
Randy Moss.
It said.
The biggest
Wait,
risk Bill
hold on.
Belichick took was Randy Moss.
Timeout, Jeff. You said he was going where?
To the Colts. You could put on the board. You
Show
think
is
it's crazy? I think
I
it's
agree.
crazy.
I'm
Think
thinking
about
about it, and I'm
I
thinking
mean,
about it.
I know it sounds crazy, but
It's
think
not.
about
You
It
got
is.
John Taylor. You got Pittman. You got something.
I mean, think about it.
you got a little bit of something.
Who
You got
else is gonna
Taylor,
make
Pittman.
Who else is gonna? And Andy, I'll throw it to you. Like, who else in your LeBron Jackson? And I've said it before. I've said it on the show. Lamar Jackson's not playing for the Ravens again. I said it. I called it before all this stuff
Yeah.
happened. Ben, you know
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
he's not playing for the Ravens.
You
The
said that
Colts are
several
the only
times,
team
yeah.
that make the most sense because they've been starved for a quarterback for so long. They have that
Mhm.
fourth. They have a top 5 draft pick. I mean,
Yeah.
what after the top two guys between Bryce Young and
Yeah.
what's his face from Ohio
CJ
State? The
Stroud.
other
And
two
after
guys are
this
questionable.
Jeff Saturday
Yeah,
experiment.
yeah. Jeff, that's exactly what I was gonna say. At 4, they're not getting one of the top 2.
No,
Yeah.
no, and Levitt is too much of a question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And Richardson completed only 53% of his passes in 13 games.
Anthony
That ain't gonna
Richardson's
get it
gonna
done.
be out of the
Nope.
league in like 3
Yeah.
years.
The
Eh,
Colts are
All
gonna
this
do it.
hype about Richardson, he's gonna be a bust, man.
But Andy, you had
he's
the
gonna
floor.
be a bust.
Well, I was going to say Lamar Jackson, the agent, is making a smart decision, right? Because for the very fact that something's not right with the strength and conditioning, whatever's happening, the health in that organization with the Ravens. You don't have all these running backs, all these players getting injured if you're doing the right thing. I get it. Things happen. So, and he was smart. Lamar Jackson, the agent, was smart to hold himself out the last few games. I mean, it was a business decision. I think the Colts would be a good landing spot because Irsay, he's going to cater to his stars. He would make something work. Now, I don't know if that roster is ready to, it has enough right now. But I think if they sign him long-term, I think Irsay's crazy enough to guarantee it all. Obviously something with the Cleveland ownership. I think Irsay would, give Deshaun all that guaranteed money. I think the Colts are a good spot. And yeah, I think you're right. I think he has, made that decision. He doesn't want to play for them anymore.
Irsay needs to spend some money. He's got to spend some money. If he's going to support around and build around his future star, Lamar Jackson, if that's going to come to fruition, he's got to drop some coin.
Here's the question.
The Colts are desperate. Look at who they've had a quarterback since Andrew Luck.
Here's a question I have, and I don't know.
The best quarterback was Phil Rivers, I believe.
Yes, since Luck. Yes.
Here's a question I don't know though. With it being an indoor arena, is Lamar better? With the like outdoor grass or whatever they have at the Colts Stadium, or where would he be best? I guess that's a question.
I think speed is speed. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no,
I think speed can go on any surface.
Look at the division, guys. Let's just look at this division. Okay, let's just really break it down. Tennessee, I mean, he would easily be, because you have what you had the Jaguars. Okay, you have Trevor Lawrence. He had
Mhm.
one decent year. Okay, he didn't
Yeah,
necessarily
no.
light it up, but statistically, it was a decent year.
Mhm.
Okay, then you got Tennessee with the
Tannehill,
homeboy,
maybe, because they might cut him. They might
Tannehill.
cut him, so he might not even be the
Okay,
quarterback.
and then who else is the other team? And then Houston. Okay, if I'm the coach of that, if I'm the owner of that team, and I'm looking at that division, I'm looking at that landscape. I have Jonathan Taylor, who I still think, yeah, he was dinged up, but he's still young, still on a rookie contract, could still give me something. You got Michael
Mhm.
Pittman. You still got a decent tight end, a decent offensive line, and at least a top 15 defense. With Lamar Jackson, you mean to tell me, Ben, that they couldn't
Well, Jeff, and who's
potentially?
this? I'm pretty sure they got a decent amount of cap space. I'm not on
Yes.
overthecap.com right now, but I think they have a good amount of cap space. My point in saying that is, couldn't they get Odell and Lamar?
I don't know
I
why.
don't- I
you would
think
want-
Odell's
I mean,
very-
Odell is, on the, we know a lot of injuries. We understand all that, but they need something other than Pittman.
Yeah, Gary.
So,
Gary, what do you think? And we'll toss it back to you, Andy, then Marissa, because I know you're short on time, Andy. But Gary, your thoughts? Okay, think
It's
about
not-
it. Let it marinate.
He doesn't know what the question is.
No,
No,
I
with-
do know what the question is. I'm like, I don't.
Gary,
The
I'm just messing with you. You're
can
good.
we all agree that the Colts are just a weird franchise as a whole?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Period.
Yeah.
As I was sitting here,
Yes.
like that's what I was
Yes.
thinking about. I'm like, because they keep finding themselves in the same damn picture. I'm just like, why? Every year we keep coming up to, who's going to be the Colts starting quarterback? Like you have to either blow it up and start from scratch or something. Like I don't know. Insanity is what? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And this is the Indianapolis Colts. But then, okay, this is
Yeah.
actually on brand. All of it.
But
All of it's
Ben,
on brand.
real quick,
Never
and then I'll
mind.
toss it back to Andy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, all I was going to
Ben?
say is Jim Irsay, Jerry
Mhm.
Jones. Is there much of a difference? And have either franchise won anything in a long time?
Yep.
There you go. Irsay.
I'll give Jerry Jones a slight edge because there's no way in the world where Jerry Jones. I have not seen. If I'm wrong, did not hire someone to take that head coaching experience. Meanwhile, the Colts is trying to erase the stain of Jeff Saturday being their head coach. I digress.
Jeff,
that's-
you're on mute.
Let's see. I pulled a
No, you're
Gary.
on mute
I
for
pulled a
years.
Gary.
All right, Jeff.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. No, so let's just get this going. And Andy, let's tell you one more question here, man.
Mhm.
What is a good fit for Odell and Zeke? Like, what's a good fit? Because we're just kind of wondering, man. Let's take the floor, sir.
And I don't think anybody's saying this, but I just kind of, off the top of my head, I think Odell would look great in purple and yellow in Minnesota.
I can see
Say
that.
that one more time.
In purple and
I can
yellow,
see that.
Minnesota with the Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings. That's what he said.
For
I
Odell?
think, I think if he's got a place where he doesn't have to be the number one guy, I think that'll be, with his, in someone who has number one guy who's proven it. Jamar Jefferson, he is
Him and Justin Jefferson would be a problem.
right. And then, I think Kirk Cousins, I'm not a Kirk Cousins believer, but I think that this would, Kirk Cousins is adequate enough to get the ball to him. And I think that would be a good fit. Whether it'll happen with cap wise, I don't know. I doubt it. But I would like to see that. It'll just be interesting. This free agent, second wave of free agency or third, whatever this wave has been interesting. Even with the Bears, like you have all these quality players, I feel like that are out there, and all these teams are kind of waiting to see what the value is. Like Odell said, he doesn't want like $5 million, but he doesn't want $20 million. Obviously, there's somewhere in between there. So it's just kind of interesting where all these players are kind of waiting, and there's a lot of quality players in there. And I wonder if more will happen after the draft. But would he take 10? Obviously, if if it's like a team like the Vikings that think they have a shot to do well, then, maybe he'll do that. Does he want the money now, or does he want to continue to keep winning? He's got that taste of having a Super Bowl. He would have been the MVP if he hadn't gotten hurt. So
Facts.
Odell
Facts.
to Minnesota is Minnesota is actually a very sexy pick. I could actually, I don't like using that word a lot, but I feel weird saying it. But whatever, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. But just one more best offseason move in your opinion, Andy, and then Marissa, Ben, and Gary.
Best off-season move. I'm gonna have to say it. Well, and maybe I'll steal Maurice's thunder here. I'm gonna say Ben Johnson staying with the Lions. I think that was huge there, and I like what the Lions are doing. Obviously, they got David Montgomery and all that. Am I making you blush over there yet, Marisa? But
You've become my new best friend. Keep going.
Hey.
I thought I was but that's okay.
So I like all that. They've done a lot. So, but really, I think, keeping Ben Johnson, keeping him as a coach, I think that is huge. And, you get all these players and stuff, but if you have a team that started to have success at the end of the year, and I mean, obviously they were having success a good part of the year, and keep that intact and really continue to build and have that winning culture, which Detroit hasn't had since my guy Wayne Fontes. There you go. I'd say with the Lions there.
Okay. All right, Marissa.
Thank you so much, Andy, for recognizing God's team. I truly appreciate it. I love the moves that we're making. I like the risks that are happening. I like the recent signing of CJ Gardner-Johnson, adding on to that. Jamal Williams, he was there. He got offered a lot of money. Apparently, he didn't like a lot of money, and he went and took his talents elsewhere. It is what it is. It's a business. I'm looking forward to the draft, finding out that Detroit has hosting the draft next year. I'm beyond excited about that. Yeah, I mean, everything that you said, and you didn't steal my thunder. You was just spitting facts, and I truly appreciate that. I love what we're doing, and I'm excited about football for the first time in a long time. When being a Detroit Lions fans need to get ready for, I believe, what's going to be a great season.
Gotcha. Yeah, no doubt. And then what about some like Odell, and what do you think as far as like Odell and Zeke best fits in your opinion?
I really did not think about OBJ in Minnesota, but as Andy says, that makes a lot of sense. And yes, Jeff, I'll say it times two. It is a sexy pick. Do I want him in our conference? No, but the fit, it makes sense. As far as Zeke, all I can think about is him as a Jet. I mean, you got Breece Hall coming off of an injury to put Zeke in for short distances instead of, those long distances. Again, Zeke is 27 years old, gentlemen. I mean, he's not old, but the productivity that we've seen from Zeke that was drafted in at first to the Dallas Cowboys, we've seen it slowly but surely decline. The only highlight that I can think of besides this move is him jumping into the Salvation Army kettle. That's about it. But other than that, the productivity of him has declined some. So putting him in on that offense and playing, at a first and goal or, short distances to make that, since Tony Pollard is going to be the guy for Dallas or whatever they decide to be. I just see him as, as a New York Jet in that green and white uniform, Jets, Jets.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And then Ben and Gary, before you go, Andy, I know that you have to leave. We'll give a shout out to your social media handles and all that jazz before you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. NFL Updated on Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. And I definitely appreciate you guys inviting me on. Love talking football. I'm getting excited. I was just messaging. Yeah, I'm heading to the NFL draft, taking my kids to Kansas City. I'm excited for that whole process, just to kind of see it. Obviously, get a chance to, see some of these players that, before they're drafted and all of that. So I'm excited. I definitely appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks again.
Yeah, no doubt. And I only made the face of Kansas City because it's a city of a team that's just icky. Speaking as a Broncos
Broncos fan, by the way, salty Broncos fan.
Hey, I was stupid enough to pick the Chiefs to be last in division last year. I'm not going against Mahomes. Mahomes, I'm going to say this here. Mahomes, when his career is done, he's going to be better than Tom Brady.
Oh,
I think he's already better physically.
Oh, absolutely.
Wise,
Absolutely.
he's better than Tom Brady.
He
As far as
won't
when
have-
he'll have the
He won't have the rings, but it's not only rings.
I don't know about
Not so
that,
fast.
man.
Not so
He ain't
fast.
getting seven.
Not so
He's
fast.
got
Not so
two. He only
fast.
got more.
He got
That
one
is-
on basically one leg this year. So
No,
right.
I know. Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, we'll see. But hey, Andy, glad to have you back on. Glad to have you on. We'll definitely have to bring you back on. But sign you off, sir. And
Awesome.
have a good one, man. Take care.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks,
Take care.
Andy.
All right, cool. Let's get back to this. Andy's a good guy. Well, let's
Yes.
finish this off and get back to NCAA talk. But Ben,
Yeah, I'll go fast, sir. So we got Odell. I wrote down a couple teams for both Odell and Zeke. Vikings and Lions were on my list, and
Oh.
Jaguars for Odell. I wrote down Vikings, Lions, Jaguars. And for Zeke, I wrote down 3 teams as well: Chargers, Bills, Bengals.
I could see Zeke at the. You said Zeke for the Bills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wrote down Chargers, Bills, Bengals. Bills, who is their running back? Bengals, don't you need a
Jack
number
Moss.
2 for? Don't you need a number 2 for Mixon? Chargers,
Yeah.
Eckler's possibly getting traded. Even if he's not, you need a number 2. So that's where I went there. And then as far as best offseason team wise, I got Bears.
And real quick, Gary, can we all just agree with the nod of our heads that the Chargers have just underachieved over the last 15 years with all the talent that they've had?
15 years. You're shortchanging. They've underachieved for the majority of their franchise.
Yes.
15 years. It's been bad. It's been bad. It's only been bad because we've had more cameras on them in the last 15 years. But let's be very clear. Even the team that went to the Super Bowl, they got spanked by San Francisco in a way that
Yep.
they have not recovered since.
Which, by the way, Steve Young still has the record: 6 touchdown passes. Shout out
Exactly.
Steve Young, Super Bowl record.
Mhm.
So, no,
Yeah.
I think we're shortchanging them on the years of
I was trying to
futility.
be-
They're up there too.
No doubt. But Gary, Odell and Zeke, and then we'll get back to some NCAA talk because I know.
Okay, so for
Dennis.
Odell, I said I had 2 places. I had the Bengals as one.
Mhm.
Because I think at some point they're going to break up the Higgins and
Boyd and Chase.
thank you, Boyd and Chase. Thank you, Higgins. Boyd. Like Higgins is the likeliest of the 3 to go,
Mhm.
and I think that you sign Odell at on a shorter deal for less money.
Yeah.
I think he would fit in and be an extra weapon there, possibly.
Yep.
I think, Ben, like you said, Jacksonville is a very interesting choice. I think that he would fit in. I think giving Trevor Lawrence a real weapon would have fared much better for them.
I mean, you would have Kirk, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Ingram, Odell.
Like
It's not bad. You can
that's
work
gonna
with
be
that.
dangerous. And, in that division, which is hot garbage anyway, like, you be the class of the division at that point. As far
Yeah.
as Zeke goes, I'm going to give you I'm going to give you 2 teams that you probably wouldn't expect, and one that's like, all right, it's pretty obvious. The one obvious is the Jets. The 2 that you wouldn't expect, I'm going to say the Chicago Bears, which I want Andy to stay on because I want him to hear that. Because I think you give Justin Fields somebody like that, I think that they can make some noise in the NFC North. I don't think they're going to be, I still think that this is Detroit's division to lose at this point. And the other place, which quarterback play is going to be a big problem, at least right now, in my opinion. But I'm going to say Arizona. I can see him going out
Not
to the
bad
desert
either.
in the combination of him and James Conner to make a very serviceable duo for, to kind of add to Kyler Murray and hopefully take some of the pressure off of him. I can see that happening. So
That's a good one because you'd have like 2 bruisers. Like
Exactly.
Connor and Zeke are like big
And
boys.
you're going to
big
need
boys.
that in the NFC West. You're going to need that with the Seattles, with the San Francisco.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
Yeah,
it's
Gary, I
not
like
bad.
that. Yeah,
That's
I
not
like
bad.
that one.
That's not bad. So let's turn this pivot around, Ben. Then I'll toss it to you, Marissa. We just got to talk a little bit of Zags, man, because Ben, you and I were texting each other during the ending of that UCLA Zags game,
Oh yeah.
and
Sheesh.
that
Oh yeah.
finish, and I was like, wait a minute, Zags had a lead, then it
Yeah.
evaporated, and then just
we-
the tossing back and forth.
Let's just talk Thursday night Sweet 16 at least for a little bit because we had two unbelievable games. We got Gonzaga, UCLA, Kansas State, and Michigan State. We'll go Gonzaga, UCLA first because that's what you brought up. So UCLA is up by 13 points at halftime. Then in the second half, Gonzaga is up by 10 points. That was a 23-point swing right there. And then the ending, you alluded to it. So I didn't write down that much. Surprising. Yeah, laugh at me all you want. Anyways, the ending, a minute and a half left. They're still up by 9 points. I think it was like 3 minutes left. They're up by 10. But a minute and a half, Gonzaga was up by 9. Then 13 seconds left. UCLA takes a 3-point shot. I wrote down the name. Wanted to make sure to give him credit. Amari Bailey hits a 3-pointer for UCLA with 13 seconds left. Puts them up by 1. Literally the exact next possession, Gonzaga's guard, Julian Strother. Julian Strother hits a deep 3, like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard 3, and 78-76 Gonzaga. Like just incredible swings of momentum and extremely highly entertaining. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's facts. And, Marissa, and we were talking, I was telling people, like, I was really disappointed in the Gonzaga just because I really thought this was going to be the year because there wasn't as many high expectations for them. And I was like, okay, they got out this UCLA game. Now they can play a little bit better. Then they go against UConn and they get completely blown out. They
hit the wrecking force of UConn so far this tournament.
Yeah. Mark Few reminds me so much of Matt Painter of Purdue, where you have, listen, they can coach. Listen, let me hear me out. They can coach. They have the talents. They have the talents to get their teams far in the tournament, and they see that they get real close to the pinnacle of getting their first career NCAA championship. Mark Few's been closer than Matt Painter. You see what I'm saying? And Purdue was supposed to have that squad.
Yep.
But then we already saw what happened to Purdue. And unfortunately, UCLA, Gonzaga, just the tale of 2 games between that comeback against UCLA and the pure dominance of Dan Hurley and his UConn Huskies. Like, I was expecting this game to go down to the wire. I did not expect a 82-50. Was it 82-58 or something like?
82-54. Yeah. Yep.
Never. And possibly the last game of Drew Timmy's career. Drew Timmy's going to be amazing in the NBA, and I said that on another platform. And unfortunate, that he didn't get that opportunity to help Gonzaga get to the Final Four. But that was the part that just blew my mind. How it was back and forth against UCLA because we saw the same exact thing happen in the Final Four, and then Gonzaga got to the championship game and then lost there. So we just saw a snippet of that in the other night. But I mean, these coaches that you have seen over and over again that just has been with the same team. I think Matt Painter's been there for almost 20 something years.
Yeah,
with Purdue.
20 years.
Yeah.
At least Gonzaga's made the Final Four. Like, Few's gotten them a lot further.
True, but they don't
have the ring. They don't have the ring. They've had the talent. They've had the players. They've had the teams that could potentially get them there. Again, Few has gotten further than Matt Painter. Both of these coaches are very talented. I get the comparison.
Just they can't.
I'm just giving you a little bit of a hard time. Yeah, I got you. I understand the comparison.
But here's the name that people are going. If you haven't heard this dude's name from UConn, Gary, they're gonna learn it now. Adam Zanogo. Okay, that dude on the board.
Yeah,
is
a beast.
I'm so glad you mentioned him, Jeff, because when they played Iona, Iona kept it close. Iona had a lead in the first half. In the second half, all UConn did was dump it down to him, and it was the same move all over again. He either made a bucket or he was fouled. Like, that game wound up being a blowout because they just kept feeding it to him. And it's like it's a throwback to the classic old big man play, but like you're countering the era of the Steph Curry 45'3" with some bully ball in the middle. Like, this is where I feel like Connecticut is kind of my like prohibitive. They're the odds-on favorite, and I think they actually will be the champion at the end of this. I'm saying it now because really, like, unless you have somebody that can get down the blocks with him, they'll sit there like and let you shoot threes. You're going to tire yourself out at some point.
Mm-hmm.
That boom and 5 to 10 foot jumper is forever.
Yeah, you know, and it's UConn has been the most dominant team in the tournament.
Yeah. I think Iona was the only team that tested them, and that was only in the first half.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they have only, I believe, the 9th team ever to win 15 plus or more the first 4 games. But even more impressive than that, they won by 20 or more 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Gonzaga, who we all know is a really good team, by 28 points. They beat Arkansas, who had just come off the upset over Kansas, by 23 points. And they beat Iona, who was a very popular first-round upset, by 24 points. Mm-hmm. So they, like, come on.
But
now.
The thing is, though, with UConn, Marissa, is that with this UConn team, it's not just him. They can shoot the hell out the 3 too.
Absolutely.
That game against Arkansas had like a little bit of like a 9-0 run when they did the full court press.
Yeah.
But they couldn't keep up with them because they have 3 wingers that could just shoot the hell out the ball.
Oh my gosh. And what was surprising to me in that game, because I think we were texting it in our chat, I was really surprised. I mean, the one thing is just Gonzaga and how badly they got blown out. I was really surprised at Arkansas, because Arkansas, you came and you was toe-to-toe and basically had a battle back, and you knocked out the number 1 seed Kansas. And then it looked like that they had excitement fatigue against UConn, because I just could not believe how literally they just got wiped off the court. Like Eric Musselman, that the camera a couple of times was just like on him, and he was just like, I promise you, this team is supposed to be the real deal. I coach these guys that are determined. Like, they look like they was tired and defeated before the second half started. And Danny Hurley, Coach Hurley, we respect that man. And the UConn Huskies just literally took that to their advantage. I think this is going to be an amazing Final Four that we're going to witness, gentlemen. You got 2 number 5 seeds, a 3 seed, and a 9 seed.
Yeah, I mean that's facts. I mean there was a
4 seed. I'm sorry, UConn is a 4. I put them at a 3. They're 4.
This NCAA tournament has just been crazy. And there was an interesting set that I looked up. They said that they're the 9th. I think with the 9th seed, and we're going to get right to FAU. Is that they're the 9th team since 1979 to reach the Final Four as a 9 seed or higher. 5 of the previous 8 have occurred since 2013.
Wow!
And the Owls own a Division I leading 35 wins after having won only 19 games or more, 19 games in just once in program history, and they don't have a single senior on their starting roster.
That's scary, because all of them can come back. And is that, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, is this the best record that they've had?
Yeah,
I believe they're only never lost
19 wins. They never
more than 19. Yeah,
and they're not seniors. Wow.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
And arguably, I don't think they have an NBA player on their roster.
No, they do not, and it's crazy.
And they're in the Final Four. And just real quick on FAU, they beat Tennessee after Tennessee had this huge win against Duke, and people started picking Tennessee to go to the Final Four. FAU beats them, and what was impressive about that was they were down, not by a lot, but they were down most of the game. And then 10 minutes left in the second half, they took the lead. They led the rest of the game. Took the lead, 10 minutes left, second And then after Kansas State has an epic game against Michigan State, they beat Kansas State.
Mm-hmm.
And Florida
Yeah.
Atlantic University, Jeff, as to your point, never more than 19 wins. They have a 20-game winning streak. So in 20 games, they already set their record. Like
That coach is going to get a job somewhere.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
He's going to
yeah,
get. He's
for
not
sure.
coming back to FAU. I
No,
don't care.
because FAU can't pay him.
No,
They
no,
can't pay him
no.
them big dollars.
He's going to
He's
cash in
gone.
now. He's going to cash in now. So let's do this. Let's just do this. We'll start with you, Marissa, then Ben and Gary. Then let's just do Final Four picks, and then let's just do. I'm going to throw some stats out for the MVP for both
Yep.
the players, and then just real quick, we're going to decide who's going to be our NBA MVP just for the sake of time.
So we'll
All right,
go
so-
to like 10-10 or so.
Yeah, and then we'll just
Something like
wrap this
that.
up real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
So,
Yep,
so Marissa, Final Four picks. Who are your picks for the Final Four games?
Final Four. Let me also include, please, if I can, win
Go for it.
or LSU, Virginia Tech first time in this in school history. I'm proud of them. Angel Reese is going to be a beast underneath the net. It's going to be too much for them. LSU is going to go into the championship game. Caitlin Clark, her just absolutely bad. And the scary thing is, gentlemen, she's a junior. She's not a senior. She's an option to leave and go to the WNBA, but I don't think so. If they unfortunately do not beat South Carolina, I believe she comes back and runs it back her senior year. The first person ever since the stats were introduced in 1984 that she had a triple-double, a 40-piece, and 41 points the other night against South Carolina. South Carolina's big. South Carolina they got a player that's 6'7" on their squad, for the love of God, and that's not even named Aaliyah Boston. It's gonna be what the people absolutely want. It's gonna be an LSU South Carolina showdown in the national championship. I want Dawn Staley to make history. She'll be the first Black coach with an undefeated record if she happens to win this game against Iowa and the championship game, which I believe she will. On the men's side, FAU and San Diego State is going to be a battle all the way down to the last basket, but I think San Diego State is way too strong, and they can shoot. Like, they can absolutely shoot, and I think their shots are going to matter the last 3 minutes of the game, and San Diego State will punch its ticket to its very first championship game, and they will go against barely UConn. You got to think Jim Larrañaga is taking a second team that has never been to a championship or to a Final Four. Because if you remember, gentlemen, 2006, he did it with George Mason that broke everybody's brackets, and now he's done it with Miami. I think it's going to go all the way down to the wire. This is not going to be a lopsided affair. I'll be surprised if it is, because I respect Jim Larrañaga. But something about Dan Hurley. Never, ever has he experienced this as a player. His brother has twice, and he hadn't experienced this as a coach until now. It's going to be a San Diego State UConn final, and UConn is going to win it, and Coach Hurley will get that ring that he's always wanted.
Okay. Respect to that. Gary?
I think I'm going to pretty much go along the same lines as Marissa. I'm going to say San Diego State. I think the magic for Florida Atlantic has kind of reached its course. I think, they will be a team to reckon with going forward, but I think San Diego State is definitely the far better team. I think just going back, I said UConn was going to be my pick anyway, so that kind of makes the last two picks pretty much self-explanatory. I think Miami is good, but UConn is just like that much better. And then UConn versus San Diego State, I look at that and I see a lot more of what happened with UConn and Gonzaga than anything else, where I think that game will not be as close. And even if it's Florida Atlantic, I think if you get Connecticut in the national championship, it's going to be a blowout either way.
Okay. All right. I respect that. Ben?
Yes, so I am going to roll with FAU on that side, and I'm going to stick with the Gary and Marissa and say UConn, and then I got UConn over FAU in the national championship game. I believe that it reminds me a little bit of when Butler Now this is going pretty even further back when Butler made
2010, 2011.
when Butler made the final and UConn kind of spaked them. They only won by 12, but like it was never close. I'm thinking the same thing's going to happen where a smaller school meets UConn in the championship game and UConn just takes care of them.
Okay.
So I got
All right.
FAU, UConn winning.
All right, real quick, and then let's just wrap this up with NBA MVP. So stats put out here, which is very
Jeff,
interesting.
you didn't pick, did you?
Yeah. Did I pick?
Your
UConn's
Final
going to
Four?
win.
UConn, there we go.
UConn's
Move
gonna
on.
win.
There we go.
Boom.
Move on.
Done. Done deal. Seal it. Done. It's like, no.
All right,
So
move on.
let's wrap this up real quick. We'll start with you, Marissa. So MVP race between Joker and Embiid. To put this in context, 61 games played for Joel Embiid, 33.3 points per game, 10.2 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks, and 85.6% on free throws. 67 games played. The reason why I say that because I think games played matters. Joker's 24.9 points per game, 11.9 rebounds, and 9.9 assists per game. Pretty much a walking triple-double. Who wins your MVP?
Gosh, this is such a good question. I have said at the beginning of the season that Joel Embiid is going to tap into the season and forget about the last year that he didn't get the MVP, and he's going to play better than he has the last year. I'm rooting for him. I really am this season. I really want Joel Embiid to get this MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I want him to. I want him to, but it's just we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah,
see how it all plays out. We will.
I agree.
I feel like it's media driven.
Yeah,
Gary, your MVP choice. You're on mute.
Feel like it's going to be Jokic. I want it to be Embiid, though. I think he's overdue. I think he's played. I mean, both have played consistently great basketball all season long, but I just feel like voter fatigue may play a factor into this. Like, you know, the last player to win 3 straight MVPs was Larry Bird. That's now nearly 4 decades ago, which sounds crazy because it feels like that it was 20 years ago, but that just might be me feeling old. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of that voter fatigue that's going to play a factor, and that might tilt the scales in Joel Embiid's favor. But I think at some point that 3 in a row is going to be inevitable. And I think if Denver finishes with a better record than Philly does, then that pretty much locks it in for Jokic.
Okay. Ben?
Yes, so I agree with the whole games played thing, but 67 versus 61, not a significant difference. But and I agree that it's Embiid versus Jokic, but it's a 3-horse race for MVP. I still think there's a chance that Giannis gets in the mix. Okay, so you mentioned points per game. Embiid's got him by about 2, 33.3, 31.1. Rebounds per game, Giannis has him by about 2, 11.7, 10.2. The difference, obviously, is assists. Giannis, 5.6, Embiid, 4, and blocks there. Embiid's got him by about 1 block, 1.7 to 0.8. But, I mean, stats are not that different. So I think it's a 3-horse race, and I'm going to say Embiid's going to take it because games played, 59 Giannis, 61 Embiid, 67 Jokic. And I really can't see the voters going 3 years in a row. I can't see I can't see it. I got Embiid. I'm saying
and I'm
Embiid's
only
going to win.
saying Embiid because the media is going to push for it. You know who's going to win the MVP usually by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever the media is talking about it the most, it is.
Why do you think Steve Nash stole MVPs from a couple people?
I'm just saying because
Media.
if it wasn't the media, LeBron James should have, I think, 7 or 8 MVPs by now. I'm just saying, but it is what it is.
Yep.
One last question before we go, just yes or no, who or Embiid or Joker, who has the most pressure to win a championship? Just name it, and then we'll be done. Marissa.
Joker.
Okay. Ben.
Embiid.
Okay. Gary.
Embiid.
Okay. I'm going to say Embiid because he had made that he had made a statement, a silly little statement. He's probably trolling He says, I haven't won an MVP and I haven't even been first team MVP, or first team All NBA, and I don't have any pressure. There's been pressure since he's been in the process. The 76ers, and then
The
Gary will give you your
76ers have possibly the best roster in the East.
Well, no, but
They don't have a weakness.
And then
They don't have a
before we toss it to
weakness.
you, Gary, for your expert, the 76ers have had the biggest tanking job in NBA history.
Tell it.
He is the process.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't want to hear nothing about no pressure on him. But anyway, it's been great. Gary, finish it with your gripe, and then we will conclude.
So earlier we had mentioned how the top seeds in the NCAA tournament, how they failed to reach the Elite Eight for the first time since seeding began and all that. And I'm going to say it now. This year is the year of death, taxes, and Fugazi top seeds across the board. Because now this has happened in the NBA. You look at Miami and Phoenix last year. You look at Minnesota winning the NFC North. You have the Chargers winning.
Jaguars and Chargers.
Sorry. Thank you. Jaguars. I was thinking about the wild card game more than I was thinking about who.
I'm like, he's trying to say
Jaguars
or Chargers. I don't know which one.
Right, but just these tops, and then you look at the top four seeds in both the men's and women's tournaments, except for South Carolina. Like, this has been like the parity is real in sports now, and it's not so much a gripe, but it's something fun to see. Like, this is we've asked for this, and now that we have it, I think we gripe with, well, why can't our name brands be back in the championship games? Why? Give me an FAU. Give me an FAU in Miami.
There you
Give
go.
me the battle with
Yes.
Florida for the national championship. I want
Yes.
to watch that. Don't give me Duke and Kansas for the 300th time. Who cares?
Yep.
You've proven your point.
and by the way, real quick,
I know,
only
Jeff.
'cause
I'm using Duke as a reference. I could have used North Carolina.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Insert blue blood name here. So you can whatever Kansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, whoever you want in that position.
Mhm.
Like, let's get away from the name brands and let's start building new brands.
This is the
So
point of madness. That's why
I
this
got-
is March Madness, because of the madness of the brackets. This is the lowest
Exactly.
points that have been won in the ESPN brackets. This is of all the years that they've had it. They said this is the lowest amount of points that people have won because of all the teams that they
Mhm.
projected to win didn't. I love this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just
Yeah.
going to say this on UConn, although we can all undoubtedly agree they've had the best run and we all picked them to win. It just doesn't always happen as it seems. That is the obvious choice with how they've played. I'm just going to say I'm not going to be surprised if they don't win it all because they got to win 2 more. Doesn't matter these 4 games. I just
None
think
of us
everyone's picking UConn now, and I understand we all did,
Right.
but it doesn't always work out the way that people think it will.
Again, the whole thing has been madness. You got 2 number 5 seeds, a 4, and a number 9 in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, hey, guys, and all I'm going to say is Florida Atlantic is not a damn Cinderella. I don't care
No.
what division they play.
35
They deserve-
games.
But even before that, they came in almost tied with Houston for the most
Yeah.
wins in the NCAA.
Mhm.
They deserve the respect. They are not a Cinderella. I don't care what anyone else says. You win 30 games, only lose 4 games. You go on 2 double-digit winning streaks.
Yep.
You deserve the respect.
Heck yeah, 35
They
wins
deserve
is
it.
35 wins. A
deserve it.
20-game
They
winning
do.
streak
They
and
do.
an 11-game winning streak. Come on
Indeed.
now.
But hey, folks, this has been a good show. Again, Marissa, glad to have you back. Back.
Thank you.
We know you're black, but glad to have you back. I'm like, I can't speak. Good Lord. Yeah, glad to have you
Well,
back.
that must
Gary-
mean it's time to go if you can't speak anymore.
Yeah, Gary, I know you look like you're ready to take a nap with your blankie, and it's only 7:00 in the West Coast. Come hang out
Listen,
with
I
me.
have to get used to this, okay?
Hey, West Coast life. I'm telling you, man, West Coast life is it's pretty nice, very nice. Ben Holloway, glad to have you back on. So to all of our listeners, that's it for tonight's episode.
We will see you Thursday night.
And we'll see you Thursday night. Deuces, y'all.